Hello again. The philosopher George Santayana famously observed that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. We are currently witnessing the perfect illustration of the truth of this pithy saying in the United States. Reparations for slavery are a big thing at the moment, and one American state, Washington in the Northwest, has begun in a small way by helping black people buy their own homes. Technically, of course, this has nothing at all to do with slavery, but is about the historic injustice which led to black people not owning houses in places like Seattle. Nevertheless, it's all of a piece with the whole reparations for black people business. White people earn more than black people in America, and in Washington are twice as likely to own their own homes. An obvious and clear injustice caused by historical racism, slavery, and so on. The authorities there are now advancing interest-free loans to black people and members of other ethnic minorities so that they can use them for the deposit if they buy a house. No interest will be charged on these loans, and they need only be repaid if the house is later sold. Those taking advantage of this scheme must be poorer than average. Other states are looking at such projects because it seems like a good way of making reparations for racism without actually having to spend any money. It's just being lent, you see, so the state will, in the end, get it back again. That at least is the theory. I need hardly add that many poor white people are infuriated by this business because they are not eligible for such help. To recap, poor black people who cannot currently afford a mortgage will be given up to $150,000 to pay for a deposit and cover legal costs, and they won't have to repay this money until the house is sold or a new mortgage is arranged. What could possibly go wrong, other than irritating a lot of white people, that is, who do not qualify for this help due to the colour of their skin? Well, these mortgages, which are only obtained with the help of large interest-free loans from the local government, are what is known in the trade as subprime mortgages, and that should be a clue as to the nature of what is very likely to happen. Those readers whose memories are more enduring than those of grasshoppers or goldfish will perhaps recall the worldwide economic upheaval in 2008, which was triggered by the so-called subprime mortgage crisis. Subprime mortgages are those offered to people who are unlikely to be able to maintain payments in the long run. Banks like them because when the value of property is rising, even if people default on their mortgages, then the bank repossesses the house, which is worth more than the debt owed to the bank. The problem arises, of course, when property prices fall or interest rates rise. If people cannot afford to pay the mortgage and the value of the house is less than the mortgage secured against it, then the banks or finance companies are in trouble. They lose money and can even go bust, as happened in 2007 to 2010. In the present case, one can clearly see the likely course of events. Poor black people will be given $150,000 to buy a house. They will end up defaulting on the mortgage and the house will be repossessed. If this should coincide with a fall in property prices, then not only the bank will lose out, but quite possibly the state too, because they will have handed out $150,000 which they will not see again. Other states are, as I say, looking at similar schemes, and this could easily snowball into another subprime mortgage crisis, which could trigger a financial slump throughout the world, exactly as we saw in 2008. Do economists know this? Almost certainly. However, because it involves black people and reparations for racism or slavery or something, nobody dares to say a word against it, for it is a sacrosanct subject. I shall be watching developments with great interest. It puts me in mind of those Greek tragedies where you can see the looming disaster but are helpless to intervene to alter the course of events.